you went ahead and took a shot with Justin Rose?
I do every tournament. You know that.
Every tournament you take. I don't
Yeah,
know.
he's my. I mean, it used to be Oosthuizen, and then he doesn't play anymore. You know, my basic theory is like I hate to bet the favorites.
If Scotty Scheffler won 9 tournaments, which he did last year, but you would be barely breaking even with him if you bet him in every tournament. Barely breaking even if you bet him at 4-1 or less.
This is why my
won
hope
9 times, an incredible 9 times.
This is why my hope is that there will be some member of the Augusta police force who looked at Scotty Scheffler and sees a man for who he is, which is a scumbag who drags cops behind his car for no reason and shoots Scotty Scheffler in the parking lot like he deserves. That would be the best outcome for those of us who did get the dentist. Is if a cop takes revenge for his brother law enforcement who got dragged behind a car by Scotty Scheffler last year. Unfortunately, they've switched the Doral event to a Live Tour event because I was fully prepared to go there and plant some crack in Scheffler's rental car, and they call the cops and tell them I saw him selling it at a school zone. But
the time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Very pleasant. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition, a Tuesday edition of the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest. We got Mike Lubie Lubitz. We're raring to go here. Wow. I mean, you couldn't have asked for much more out of the sporting landscape than you got last night, and include a couple of very interesting firsts. One, kind of a milestone, I guess, because you would have figured it would have happened before. And the other, bridging a gap of time that goes all the way back to an era where you can't even think of who the players were that were on the roster at the time. But I'm going to say this, and I think I can say it without qualification. I mean, any kind of parentheticals or asterisk or anything like that. This is probably the only show. I doubt you're going to find Nota Begay on the Golf Channel or Brandon Shamley referring to Scotty Scheffler as a scumbag at any time. So, well, we can take credit for that. And when you hear the appropriate references that make those qualifications, guy's a scumbag, just flat out. I mean, dragging cops around at the Masters, Augusta National, all of the heritage, the pimento and cheese sandwiches, forget about all that. Just throw that out the window. Here's Scotty Scheffler, and he looks like Randy Moss when he was coming down the street in that parade, and he used a cop as a hood ornament. Although Moss turned out to be a very good guy, as we experienced when we got a chance to meet him.
He's a really nice guy.
Whatever happened with that project, though, Libby? It was going to be the biggest sports facility, indoor-outdoor combination anywhere in the world. Is that still barren wasteland down there in Dade County? I would imagine so. They had a groundbreaking ceremony, and that was it. Randy Moss happened to be a part of it. You can always tell. I've been involved in any number of these penny stock deals, as you know, Libby. Usually resulting in not much profit for the investors and many times 0.0 for the D for his various finder's fees and consulting fees and all of this other stuff. Usually it goes down to Blutarsky numbers there, and rapidly so. Immediate decline as soon as anybody's able to sell. You're out the window. But this one had all of these superstars. What do you have? You had Brian Trottier was part of the thing. You had Glenn Rice was out there, Randy Moss, some other Levon Hernandez. I love you, Miami. And they all had that same look on their face because they were asking us as if we were authorities, like we had the inside track on whether or not any of this stuff was even remotely legitimate.
We all asked. Look, there was a lot of dignitaries there, which is why I believed it. But, oh my God, this may be a real thing.
Yeah.
And they all were involved in, like, Jill Arrington, who was like, not Jill Arrington. I forgot. She was leading the women's, like, USA soccer team that had one goal.
Yes.
Like, Randy Moss was actively working at ESPN. Trottier was like a president for, I think, the Penguins, or he was like involved in an NHL franchise, and he's a Hall of Fame. Like, they were legit people. Mayors are there. So it was like, okay, I guess this may be real. But it was scary when we all kept asking each other the same thing. So, like, is this real?
They all had that curious look on their face, like we would have some inside information. Well, why do you think this is going to be completed? Unfortunately, I'm thinking never. I've heard nothing more about this project. I don't even remember the name of it. It was like the Miami Sports Center or something, sports complex. But I think it's lucky if it's a bowling alley with some kind of amusement park around it now. But nonetheless, Randy Moss, I was impressed with him. Were you not? I always thought of Randy Moss as being kind of a jerk from his past behaviors with different teams. He was one of those petulant child types that you thought, my God, when is this guy going to get it together? Tremendous talent. Very much like Jimmy Butler's last or first portion of this season with the Miami Heat, where you couldn't wait to get rid of the guy. You didn't want to see him anymore. But it turned out to be a really, really good guy, Randy Moss. That was great. But all that being said, last night, I mean, this was great, Lubie, and I know you've been clamoring for this. So you must have been euphoric during the Detroit Pistons New York Knicks game, and
Yep.
it was a very interesting dynamic in the sense that we had just seen the Pistons lead into the fourth quarter with double digits in game number one, only to fall apart at the seams, yield a 21-0 run, lose the ball game, and they hadn't won. I didn't realize this. The Pistons franchise has not won a playoff game since 2008, Lubie.
Yeah.
That is a long period of it. And not one. This isn't football, because we could say the same thing about the Miami Dolphins. Haven't won a playoff game since what? Right around the same time, huh? Isn't that remarkable? I think it goes back even further.
Earlier, 2001. No, a lot longer.
But it seems inconceivable that a team could miss the playoffs that frequently for an 18-year period of time, 17-year period of time. And then on top of that, I mean, not only not make just never win one game in a playoff series in 17 years in a league where more than half the teams make the postseason. 16 out of 30. Well, now 20 out of 30 make the postseason. How could you never win a playoff game? Does a win in the play-in tournament count as a playoff victory? That's
no, it doesn't. But they don't have one either. So
okay, they don't even have that. Right? Exactly.
No, they don't have that either.
They've been buried. How is this guy not coach of the year, JB Biggerstaff, man? And that's a good coaching job because the team's falling apart. They're up 15 in the third quarter. I almost texted my friend who liked Detroit last night with the points. And I thought maybe, were you even remotely considering that they had an outside shot to come back and win that game after a devastating defeat in game number one? It was an indicator to most people, if you're following trends. What was the trend there? That the Pistons, with a golden opportunity to go ahead and take a 1-0 lead at Madison Square Garden over the Knicks, get that coveted road win to the series doesn't begin until somebody loses at home. Yep. And it was about to begin right there in game number one, making game two not only pivotal, but I'm thinking, Lubie, are you ready for this one?
Must win.
Mm-hmm. You beat me to it. Must win. Are the Lakers not facing must win? You hate to say it. How many times are you going to hear these cliches? Playoff cliches are great because they're so consistent. They've been the same for as long as the game has been in existence. But is it not a little bit of a must win? It's hard to think of winning 4 out of 5 when you've already lost home court advantage. And
yes.
3 of those games are going to be in the NBA, especially. I don't know. NHL really doesn't matter as much as we know.
I was going to say in the NHL, teams will go down 0-2 at home and then
come back and win in 6.
Yeah, so but going down 0-2 at home is not the dream. I don't know if it's must win, but we're pivotal is definitely for sure.
Pivotal. That's with an exclamation point behind it. And you're asking yourself how are they going to be able to pivot now? You would have given Detroit a better chance, although I sort of gave them no chance of winning the game outright last night, Lubie. I wasn't even sure. Considering the points, because you're thinking, oh my God, devastating loss in game number one. Essentially had the game in the palm of your hand. Not only lost, but lost big in the end game. And sure enough, come right back. Same exact situation. Leads evaporating. Knicks are coming back. It gets to be 94 all. And then the Pistons rattle off the last 6 points in the ballgame while the Knicks are firing bricks. My God. Bricks at the end of the game. They did nothing. And Thibodeau was screaming. He was more animated than he's ever been. Tom Thibodeau, did you see him in the post-game press conference? He still looked like a schlep all during the ball game, too. Does he have more than one shirt? Because it seems like, is he not wearing the same outfit every game? Tom Thibodeau? Exact same clothes, I believe, every game. Looks sour, as we were talking about yesterday. He really does look like he got a big tablespoonful of cod liver oil for cursing too much in front of his family when he was 5 years old, like it used to happen in the days in Brooklyn. And you're lucky, Lubie, because corporal punishment, that type of thing, was sort of going out the window, Lubie. They didn't have they didn't have you sit in the corner facing the wall in school if you did something that was out of line, did they?
Oh
They
yeah,
did?
for sure. Oh,
Oh, yeah, really?
I never
Gun
shut up.
slaps?
Oh no, they would put me in the corner. They'd put me outside the classroom, and they'd also have me sit in kindergarten. My mom, for like parent day, was like, "Where's Michael's chair?" And it was right next to the teacher because I wouldn't shut up. I wasn't bad. I just like talking. I mean, obviously,
Well, we see that. Yeah, you
I
chose
always
it as a profession.
I always liked talking. So teachers liked me, but no, for sure, they never. You never got hit. Like in. Catholic school or whatever, but like I once had a third grade teacher who was this dude, and I wouldn't shut up. He like took the ruler and hit it right in front of my face on the desk. Shut up! And he yelled, "Shut up!" in front of the whole class.
I don't think I ever got thwacked with a ruler.
He didn't touch me.
That,
but
that wasn't happening in public schools, even back in the 50s when I was in elementary school.
Okay.
That wasn't happening then. But yeah, it wasn't uncommon. I mean, and Thibodeau just looks like he's taken one of those kind of
Yes.
one of those kind of bizarre punishments, mouthwash down with soap or a cod liver oil or some kind of disgusting thing that you had to eat. There was that deal in the cafeteria where did you have the big can in the center of the table where you threw like all of your waste stuff?
Yeah,
No.
we never did that. No, I know you talk about that. That was
Yeah, that was an unfortunate memory also, where every now and then, whoever was the lunchroom monitor, or usually was one of the teachers that you didn't really care for too much, and he'd come around and say, "Yeah, look at that mess that you made. You know what? You're going to drink that." You're like, "No, I'm not."
Oh no, they would actually make you do it.
Oh, it's disgusting.
No. Oh my god.
We've come a long way. I don't know. Have we come a long way? I'm not sure. All right. So anyway, the Pistons get off the schneid, as they say. Is another
Yes.
cliche we'll throw out there. Although our dear friend Leslie Visser, her hair would be standing up like Don King using that reference. The
He doesn't
schneid
like snide either. Oh wow.
doesn't like schneid. Yeah,
That's classic. That's an automatic. That's like a
off the
go-to.
schneid. What are the origins of that phrase? Off the schneid. You get off the schneid.
I don't know. I never understood what it meant, but
Is
you
it
hear
the
it.
raw end of things? I mean, is that the interpretation? I'm not sure. But since 2000, I thought that was remarkable, Luby. I don't know. That didn't strike you the same
insane.
way?
Well, because they had gone on at that point, they went like I think 7 or 8 straight years in the conference finals, and then they don't win a playoff game again for the next
Not a
nearly
single
20 years.
NBA playoff game.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
a value of an NBA playoff game versus an NFL playoff game in terms of if you haven't won one in 17 years, your franchise absolutely blows if that's the case.
Well, I'm trying to think of like because even the worst teams find their way into the playoffs and win
Sure.
again. The Kings, the Jazz are horrible now. Like the Pelicans have won a playoff game with like I'm trying to think of teams, even when the Knicks were bad and their fans would wear the bag, they would win a playoff game. The Nets have won a playoff game. Like you make it to the playoffs and win a game. Like the Heat were bad last year and didn't have Butler, and the Celtics went on to win the championship. The Heat won a game. Like you win a game. Like it's the NBA playoffs. Again, like you said, almost 2/3 of the teams make the playoffs. Half at least make the real playoffs. More than half, actually. And
the favorites up 3-0. How often do you see it? Right?
Yeah,
favorites up 3-0. They're on the road for Game 4. They're never going back home for Game 5 to clinch. And especially if they came to South Florida or some destination where you would be inclined to see these guys in the clubs at 4 a.m, they all coming in looking like Allen Iverson did for those shoot-arounds when he was with the Philadelphia 76ers. And you thought, well, where's Iverson been? You're going out there maybe to get a little innocuous interview with Allen Iverson. Hey, go get a couple of sound bites from Iverson. You really think he's showing up for the noon shoot-around so I can have this on the 5 o'clock news? Not happening, my friends. Not happening. But they get the victory over the Knicks last night. So that's 1-1. I don't know what that does for you in terms of the overall outcome of the series, Lubie. Is there a chance? And Cade Cunningham had one of the sweetest dunks I've ever seen. This could have been... It was a 10 by any standard, even though it wasn't as authoritative a dunk or artistic a dunk, the actual dunk itself. But he's kind of streaking out there in front of the pack, dribbles, somebody comes to pick him up, and he dribbles behind his back, and in one move goes with a behind-the-back dribble, picks up the ball, and slams it down. I didn't know that he was that good. I really didn't, Louis. Cade Cunningham. He was great last night. The other guy that was great in the NBA last night was Kawhi Leonard. My God, we were just talking about Kawhi Leonard and what a difference maker he is, and especially when he's on. He hit a variety of shots. Who says the mid-range jumper is dead, Libby? Did you see Kawhi Leonard last night at all? He shot like something around a range of 15 for 20 from the field. He made 75% of his shots, but early in the ballgame, he couldn't miss. It's one of those things, a run that you dream about if you're a basketball player, where I don't know if you've ever experienced that, Libby. Did you have a run somewhere in your basketball lifetime, whether it was in a recreational game, whether you were outside playing with your 5-year-old nephew or something, where you just couldn't miss? I mean, whatever you took.
Yep, I had one rec game like that. One rec game when I was a teenager where we had a big and they kept double teaming him and he kept throwing it to me and I made every shot. Like I dominated.
It's a great feeling.
It was
Isn't it? I mean, especially when it's not by accident, where it's not just pure luck. Because he was, Kawhi Leonard is great at getting to a spot on the floor. I mean, you see, they're really good shooters are good at this. They get to a spot on the floor they want. They know where they're going. That they realize all of the mechanics and dynamics that go into whatever maneuver they have to make to get square to the basket, elevate over their defender, and then chuck it in from 14, 15 feet. And that's what, Leonard, shot after shot, variety, get into the paint there, penetrate a little bit, no dish out to the corner, just elevate and go right over the top of his defender, perfectly formed jump shot. He shoots a low line drive too, Luby. One of those shots that you're thinking there's zero margin for error with the trajectory.
You give yourself, who was it? They made a 3 last night where it hit the front. Was it Schroeder hit the front of the ring?
Oh yeah, that one danced around
and went in. Like when you shoot like that, you literally have to be like you don't give yourself any room. It's like shooting off the goddamn old backboards with the metal rim. Like there was no give. Like you either hit it or you missed it. Yeah, like that's what's funny about his shot.
It's either like a line drive brick or it's a swish.
Yeah, it's like as good as he got, it's like he gives himself no shot, like no extra chance, no help at all.
But brilliant. I mean, these line drive jumpers were incredible all night long, and so and it still was a dogfight. I mean, it came down to the final seconds. It's funny because one of the big topics on I guess one of the debate shows there, Stephen A. Smith might have been. I catch the headline coming up in just a few minutes. What do the Clippers have to do tonight to atone for that loss in game number 1 in Denver? And I'm thinking they got to score 2 more points. That's what they got to do.
And Kawhi.
Be Kawhi. And they did. So that series, which many people, the wise guys, started to lean towards the Clippers as the Cinderella type of team that could come out of the pack there. That people weren't really talking about for whatever reason, even with Kawhi Leonard and James Harden, they don't have the allure that the Golden State Warriors now do with Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry. And this has to just blow your mind, Luby. I would imagine you probably can't even click on the internet at any point and look up any sports stories because everywhere you look, they're trying to make the illusion that they're contending that Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry are now the best duo in all of the NBA.
Okay.
Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry. That has to just aggravate the living daylights out of you, Mike Lubitz, because of your stance on Jimmy Butler, because you've kind of taken a fan position on this guy.
Oh, yeah.
And yet, outside of and we talked about this a little bit yesterday, I mean, outside of South Florida and the fact that the Heat got burned by Jimmy Butler's indifference and his decision that he had checked out on the team and wanted out of here, around the country, everybody's loving this guy. It's like nothing happened. They didn't care. They didn't go through any of this heartache. Just, it's like you just broke up with a girl. You've been complaining to your friend about how impossible she is for 10, 12 years. And then the next thing you know, and you're telling him in vivid detail exactly what the problems were. And he knows you to be a good guy. And then you see him out to dinner with her like 6 months later. You're like, I warned you.
Yeah.
But none of that is applicable around the country in terms of the perception of Jimmy Butler. They just think he's great, and he's being hailed as the savior of the Golden State Warriors, who find themselves in a favorable position as they will go to the post again against Houston on Wednesday. Golden State in that series up 1-0. Miami and Cleveland resumes on Wednesday. Orlando and the Boston Celtics resume on Wednesday. Today we have 3 games in the NBA. You've got Milwaukee, or rather, at Indianapolis. Pacers up 1-0. Thinking the Pacers probably do it. No, Damian
Oh,
Lillard, game time decision, questionable, may play.
I think if you're smart, you get him out there because you can. They on the other hand are on the road for 2 games. If they went down 0-2, but get Lillard at home for game 3, they're not done. But I wouldn't want his first action to be that game 3. Game 3 is a must win for them. I would get him out there today if he has any shot at playing, and he's supposed to play in this series. Because, and I heard this yesterday, and I actually agree with it. Like the whole Bucks existence sort of hinges on this year because they were maxed out as it is. They got rid of anything they had to go and get Dame. It hasn't worked out. The Rivers thing hasn't worked out. Giannis seems like one of those guys that's a forever Buck, but he's also he isn't Dirk. Like he's flirted with, well, maybe I'll leave. If they lose in the first round to the Pacers, then I get it. The Pacers win the conference finals. Pacers have an interesting team. The Bucks, all the money they put into it, they have 2 guys that when they're healthy are top 15 players in the league. One guy that's still a top 5 player. Like if you lose in the first round after last year, didn't they lose in the first round or the second round? Like, I don't know. Like it may be time to say, like, what is the point of paying these guys all this money if we're going to be losing in the first round? Like
coaches are getting fired, heads are rolling all the time. Doc Rivers has to be on the block.
Maybe time to start over. So like this series supposedly is huge for the Milwaukee Bucks, and they'd rather keep Giannis and keep going forward. So if you're them, I don't see how you don't play Dame today. At least you don't want to get him hurt, but you know what? You need to know what he is because game 3 is must win if you lose tonight.
Well, and he has one of those injuries that you would figure would afflict the guy on a roster of my dad's former Century Village basketball team.
Yes,
deep vein thrombosis doesn't sound like something in an NBA. And it's taken down 2 guys. It took down Wemby.
Yep.
And Damian Lillard. Kind of a weird.
It's the blood clot. It's what Bosch had.
Right. Deep vein thrombosis. Andy would know all about that.
Yes,
we should have him on the show to tell us what are the chances of Lillard looking like anything close to himself in the ball game tonight. All right, the other first. So Detroit wins its first. The point of all of that being the Detroit wins its first playoff game since 2008. Beats Lubie's most. No, I think you despise the Celtics more than the Knicks.
Celtics have surpassed the Knicks. Yes, I have a hatred for the Knicks. Don't get me wrong.
The Knicks haven't been relevant enough for you to care. That's
the problem. Exactly, and my Knick fan friends are actually as hopeful as they've been. They're not annoying like they used to be, so I don't despise them in the way that the Celtics fans have annoyed me. They have a right to be excited and be happy. It just annoys me. So yes, my Knicks hatred is lessened. I just have a weird, even though he's small, so I should identify with Brunson. I don't like the flopping. And Wade did it, and when Wade would do it, I didn't like that he flopped. But like Brunson, to me, it's like he studied James Harden and Manu Ginobili, and was like, that's how I want to play. Like the way he flops is, it's actually.
He went down on a touch foul on a 3-point attempt where he dove into the guy too, and they gave him 3 free throws. And I'm looking, going, that's pathetic. Although Thibodeau was screaming after that game, screaming. All right, the other first that happened last night, I wouldn't have imagined that this was the case, Lubie. Can you figure that Alexander Ovechkin, who is having an historic season by any standard, including making history by becoming the all-time leading goal scorer, surpassing a record that you thought was as out there as any. We talk about them all the time, the insurmountable records. You would have thought that Ripken Jr. could have never surpassed the Iron Man, who's playing in 2,130 consecutive ball games, Lubie, in a modern era of sports where you're flying around all the time and you have just an absolutely arduous schedule. Enormous ballparks, all kinds of crazy stuff happening. And he manages to surpass that. Cy Young, that 500, what is it, 510 victories? Is that the record? That's never going down. You don't have starting pitchers in the ball games long enough to make that happen. And you don't have that many 20-game winners anymore, Lubie. How many 20-game winners are there in any given season anymore? You used to have a handful. You don't see anybody winning 20 anymore.
No. It's rare.
Cy Young Award winner is like 18-7.
Yep.
It's kind of nuts the way those numbers have evolved and changed and gone askew. But Ovechkin milestone. I mean, he had the 39 goals or 44 goals, which was the most by. I don't know if I dig all of these quantifiers, Lubie. where he's the oldest player to have 44 or more goals. I mean, these are oddball numbers to kind of bring together. Okay, but he's an old guy, and he's having a phenomenal year. But he had never before, Lubie, never before scored an overtime postseason goal.
Yeah, that's weird.
Never.
I mean, you don't do overtime that often in hockey, I guess, but it happens. He's been in the league for 20 years, 20-something years. Like, you would think he would.
I believe he might have been in over 40 playoffs. Now, what was great about this was whoever was announcing the game, I just heard a highlight of it this morning as I was waking up on the call of the game. And the announcer, as they're at the face-off draw there in the Capitals' end, and Ovechkin's on the ice, and he actually makes an allusion to this stat.
Oh, wow. That's funny.
He says, you know what? One thing Ovechkin's never done is he's never scored an overtime goal, obviously, to win a game in the postseason. And 2 seconds later, now it's terrific. It's almost as if, if you were calling a boxing match and you said right before the guy got knocked down with a left hook, hey, you better watch out for that left hook. I mean, he's got his hand down a little bit low, and then boom, it happens.
It's like Romo.
It happened.
Yeah.
Sure enough, he fires a goal in about 2 seconds later, and so that was the first. And the Capitals take the lead in that series. That was the first game in that series. So they're up 1-0 on Montreal. Montreal came back late. I didn't see them tie the game. I was actually surprised it was in overtime because I'm flip flopping. But there were 2 hockey games and a couple of basketball games going last night, and sure enough, it was 2-1. They must have, I don't know if they got like the 6-on-5 going at the end, but they take the game to overtime, and Washington prevails there. So that was interesting. Winnipeg and St. Louis, tight series, but the Peg is up 2-0 now. Both games kind of came down to the wire. So St. Louis now has to try and protect the home ice for a couple of games. Dallas and Colorado. Colorado and Dallas figured to be a bloodbath. Dallas among the favorites to win the Stanley Cup, and they prevail. That one went to OT also. Dallas 4, Colorado 3 last night, and the LA Kings beat the Edmonton Oilers 6-5. So the Oilers trying to get back and defend their Western Conference title. Find themselves down 1-0. Today, you have the Panthers getting in action against Tampa Bay, among other series that are resuming. All are taking on their second game. New Jersey at Carolina. Few people give the Devils much of a chance there. You have Ottawa and Toronto. Leafs looking to finally redeem themselves. That's another team. How far back did they go without a Stanley Cup? Toronto Maple Leafs.
Isn't it like 50, 60 years? I mean, I'll look it up, but isn't it the 50s?
One of the ugliest streaks.
Like, if the Panthers don't win, I'll be rooting them on. Like, Austin Matthews is a really good player. That city really loves them. They're like respectful. Like, if the Panthers lose, where I don't expect a back-to-back title. Like, they're the team I would be rooting for.
You root for Toronto? You switch your allegiance to north of the border here?
No, I mean, if the Panthers are out, like,
yeah.
It would be a cool story. Like, I feel bad. Like, they live and breathe hockey, and we have a title before a lot of those people have in their life. A city that, even in the Stanley Cup Finals last year, people were like, hockey?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I feel bad.
It's amazing how people just gathered and steamrolled over to their allegiance to the Florida Panthers. Nobody gave a flying one about them. You could walk. You could have shot a missile right through the Pantherland store there, which you can't avoid. I mean, they make you walk right through it to get to your seat. I think shouldn't that be investigated? Where's Pam Bondi when you really need her, huh? They should not steer you through the team store. And especially if you've got kids with you. And is that the way it always goes?
Yeah, but I don't know if it's always right in the front. Like the Panthers arena, it's right. It's right.
Yeah, you can't dodge it.
Like, you have to go through it. And there's only like 2. They let you in like 2 entrances, and both are around.
Exactly.
The store. Like,
you're walking out of there in all likelihood with a Dennis Schvidke jersey.
And then at the end, especially
when
you
in the back there on a discount,
it's right there when you leave. And if they've just won and you're excited, like, yeah, it's placement's smart, but it's freaking annoying.
I loved having a souvenir stand at the exiting gate there at Shea Stadium. I was at Gate D. It was fantastic. Everybody had to go by your store, essentially, is what you were setting up. But to force people going into the game, and the prices are so exorbitant that, I mean, you could pass out. Do they have like they have an ambulance chasing jockeys in case somebody falls off a horse or, something happens, an unfortunate accident takes place? Shouldn't they have like a cardiologist right there in the store so that when you get to the cash register and you're checking out, I mean, do you even do that anymore? Or you just buy it on your app?
Yeah, you shouldn't have.
I guess if you never take, it's kind of the concept of converting your money, your cash into chips in a casino.
Mm.
Because the chips don't bother you, right? If you're throwing a 5 up there every time, you're thinking about it after a while.
Yep.
Like, what the hell am I
Yep.
doing?
Yep, that's actual money that can be
Just
used
a
for
stack of chips. Oh, okay, let me put another couple on there. You're like, well, what are you,
Yep.
crazy? You're out of your mind. One hand of blackjack? Got to be crazy. All right, speaking of bets, were we all over this yesterday, Lubie? Who better to analyze the Boston Marathon than you and me?
Oh, was it really all Kenyans when the
A bad beat in a photo, literally a photo in a marathon for the place position in the men's race cost us the all Kenyan exacta.
Oh, really? That's
There were
funny.
3 guys kind of duking it out, and well, no, they had like 5 guys, I guess, that were running together for about 20 miles. Okay, and these were the elite guys in the professional division, and they're just scorching it. And then the eventual winner, whose name is Career, John or Jordan Career, something like that. I can't read my own writing here, but anyway, the guy at mile 20, he just takes off. He decides, hey, I'm going to open up like a daylight on these guys, and he does. And then I was surprised that it got closer at the end. You were thinking, can he sustain this? Like, why wouldn't the other guys just take off with him?
Mm.
And so a brilliant strategic maneuver as he opened it up on a backstretch, kind of like a horse all of a sudden shoots into the lead, and you're thinking, what is this guy nuts? He's never going to be able to hang on, but he does, and he hangs on by a fairly significant margin. But there's a place photo in behind him, Lubie. So the Kenyan wins the race, and there's a Kenyan and a guy from Tanzania. And they literally, after 26 miles and what had to be 285 of the 385 yards, they start sprinting like it was Bullet Bob Hayes and Houston McTeer. They start sprinting for the finish. I don't know how you could possibly do this. You would have
How do you have anything left?
out. The defending champion dropped out of the race halfway through. Couldn't give it a go. These guys are running toe to toe, and I get split in a photo for the all Kenyan exacta in the men's side. But that's the only thing we lost. We hit the exacta on the women's side, 2 Kenyans, 1-2, including an 8-1 shot on top. And then we hit the Oaks Derby double, where we had the female winner and the male winner, because they were both Kenyans as well. Now, am I exaggerating to make a point here, Lubie? Because these runners happen to be well known, even though the one woman was 8-1. It was because the woman she beat, also from Kenya. How do you say it, Lubie? How
I
do you,
say Kenya.
you say
You
Kenya?
wanted to make it a long E.
You probably should get that right if you're going to be talking about it to the extent that we do. And this is strictly paying homage. There was a woman named Helen O'Beary who you had to lay a price. She was an odds-on favorite to win the Boston Marathon. You had to lay 185 to win 100 on this woman. So that jacked up the odds on everybody else, including this Sharon Ledecky, who won the race, and she won it pretty handily. She pulled away in the final mile and held O'Beary at bay. So that exacta had to be reasonable. And then Career goes out there and wins. And a guy from the U.S., believe it or not, was 4th, Libby. So is there a chance that we come back? U.S.
Okay.
U.S. distance runners
Yeah, no.
have become non-existent. But the tennis, side making a little comeback. But are we ever going to have like the top guy again? I don't know, Libby. Taylor Fritz is not going to ever be number 1 in the world, is he? He's the best player out there right now. But and distance runners, what happened? We used to have some really good distance runners, didn't we? Shorter and
I don't know. I don't know.
All of these guys were legendary. My friend Steve Scott, America's premier miler. Now, he wasn't a distance runner, but would you consider the mile to be somewhat of a distance race? No. Distance would have to be, 5K or more, or something like that?
I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
Did they ever have a 2-mile race in was there any distinction? No, there was no 2-mile race in track and field. But anyway, we were all over that. I don't know what kind of money you could have gotten down on that. Can you imagine? Just sending it in on the Boston Marathon, Louis? And then cashing virtually every ticket. Although, wow, I mean, you have to see this battle for second place. Brutal beat in the exacta there. This guy, Tanzania, for God's sake. So we missed out on that one, but that was unfortunate. But very exciting stuff. And then, of course, they had the Patriots Day game. And my friend, when I mentioned something about the Boston Marathon and boxing the Kenyans and exactas, he immediately shot back to me and parlay all of that under the Red Sox at minus 300 against the hapless White Sox. And they did prevail there 4-2 in that ball game. Miami Marlins, what's up, Lubie? Do we have to issue apologies early in the season? Were we dead wrong about this, that this would be the most pathetic team in the history of modern American baseball? Because they seem to have found some kind of redemption. And this guy, Max Meyer, ends up fanning 14 in 6 innings yesterday. 14 strikeouts in 6 innings.
Oh, legit. He's the guy they've been waiting on. It's just he gets hurt. It's their problem. Like their young arms continue to get hurt.
Yeah. Did they put Dr. James Andrews on staff, the Marlins? Because everybody always ends up needing Tommy John, including Sandy Alcantara, who I haven't really tracked. Is he doing well? His first start was okay. I'm not sure what's happening, and we're waiting for him to become a New York Yankee. That is all right, we're going to take a quick timeout. We'll come back with more, much more to talk about. You got the draft. We haven't mentioned that. Scoop Skolnick was unable to join us today. He's going to join us tomorrow.
Yes.
And that'll be appropriate as we try to figure out and put our finger on the pulse of what's happening in the NBA playoffs. But I'm going to say must win for the Lakers tonight against the Minnesota Timberwolves. You go down 0-2 at home. I don't care if you got Luka Doncic and Bob Cousy in the backcourt. You're probably going to have a hard time winning 4 of the next 5, with 3 of them being on the other team's home wood. How do you rally from that? If you get smacked in the face again, I mean, that was not like one of those games where you looked at and said, "Oh my God, you know what? How lucky was Minnesota." They dominated that ball game from about, I guess, towards the end of the first quarter on. All right, we're going to come back with more in a moment. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie Lubitz, back in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It was 2008, the last time they won a playoff game. It's 8:42. Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Are you looking to buy your first home? Have you been turned down for a loan? Do you need to refinance or get money out of your home? Call Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. He's been helping the South Florida community get mortgages for 30 years.
Hi, this is Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. We have the most competitive fixed rates in the market. Call me 24/7, 561-441-2730. And remember, I don't just work banking hours. Make the right choice for your home. Call Choice Mortgage today.
You know what I'm gonna do? Because you don't ever give me a fake shake. You know that? So I'm gonna go and let you talk to Victor Ortiz, all right? I'm through. They put somebody else up and give me an interview.
What are you talking about? What are you talking
heard him.
about?
You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know about boxing. You ain't you not.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
The modern day odd couple, Defo and Lubie, are on now. It is, of course, the Defo Show.
You have to give Larry Merchant credit for that one, do you not? I mean, to even assert that he was going to take on the challenge of, at 50 years younger, you would still see Floyd Money Mayweather kicking the living daylights out of him.
Yes.
Some sports writer, get out of here.
Yeah.
As much as I liked Larry Merchant, I think you were walking down a very sordid path there, a slippery slope, as they said in the movie about Reuben Hurricane Carter. Rod Steiger playing a judge in that movie, Loopy. Very, very dramatic portrayal of what was Reuben Hurricane Carter's book, The 16th Round. One of the few books I've read cover to cover in my lifetime, Loopy, The 16th Round. Interesting story. You talk about a setup. You talk about racism. You talk about a corrupt Justice Department. That was what was going on in Paterson, New Jersey at the time. All right. We haven't really, are we being delinquent in our responsibilities as a sports show, a sports talk show of any type, whether it's a streaming video, radio, television show, ESPN debate show, by not zeroing in more closely on the NFL draft? I'm not sure. I don't, it's not like I feel indifference towards it. When it happens, it's kind of an interesting game to follow. I don't know that I have a deep enough familiarity with some of the players beyond the very top guys that are talked about to say, oh my God, if they don't take this guard out of Liberty, I mean, who knows? And I remember doing an endless amount of analysis on this stuff prior to the draft. It was an obsession. I was very surprised by this, Loopy. Did you grow up as some kind of a draftnik? Because it would have been more in vogue. It kind of came into vogue the year that you were born. I want to say, and I might be wrong about this, was the 1983 draft the first one that was televised in the fashion?
Something like that.
We've now become accustomed to?
It wasn't. It was. They didn't. Because I remember I saw the 30 for 30 on the Marino draft, the Demoff thing.
Yes, that was great. I saw it the other night a little bit.
I saw that one. I've seen that a couple times. So it wasn't televised like we're used to being televised, because I remember they were like talking about it like it was very back room, but I think it got some television in a way that the draft never had up until that point, or something like that. Like, I think that was one of the first, if not the first, that had television there. They didn't have like a group breaking down every pick and what pick's gonna come and next available and doing
a 6-person panel.
Yeah, but that's now they have like 3 different 6-person panels.
Yes, they're all over
them. Let's go to them.
You have to have a Susie Colbert type by the stage asking the player about how do you feel about completing this journey? And you're like, oh, please, I'm going to throw up. Somebody give me a barf bag. I'm happy for the kid. Let's hope it works out. It's always interesting, too, to see somebody get traded in the immediate aftermath of them talking about how wonderful it is that they became like a Boston Celtic, and the next thing you know, they're playing for the Utah Jazz. You're like, what? How happy could you possibly be? I guess what if you know you haven't made any shade for the rest of your life? It's not quite the same though anymore, Libby. I would imagine the emotional reaction, because half of these kids are millionaires already.
Yeah, it's curious to see what this generation, like Travis Hunter was the first dude that made a lot of money in college, and now they're all the stars at least are making a lot of money in college. I'm curious, like, what this does for their life. It's the NFL money's more money, it is, and it's more sustained money, but it's not like they're broke. Like, these kids haven't been broke for a long time. Like, these kids have been making money for like 4 or 5 years.
I mean, you're looking at $4 million numbers being tossed around, much like salaries in the NBA seem unfathomable.
Oh yeah,
that some scrub could be worth $30 million a year. Some guy coming off the bench. And you're thinking, how badly were they getting ripped off before this?
Exactly.
There was always that complaint about the baseball owners that they never opened up the books. Now the NFL people finally reeled in there themselves, because remember when they were giving Sam Bradford $60 million and Alex Smith $60 million coming out of now Bradford was okay, but he was never great. Alex Smith distinguished himself as a real, warrior. But I don't know. In the beginning, you were thinking, "Who the hell is this guy? What a waste of a pick." He wasn't in the bust category, but it wasn't great. And then my favorite thing is trying to figure out who is going to screw up the worst. I always love that aspect of draft analysis.
Is Chris Greer drafting?
Well, I mean. Is he the worst? I'm not sure.
Not the worst, because he'll hit on a guy here and there, and I'm sure there's guys that never hit, but he definitely is bottom. He's bottom tier.
Yeah,
not.
Who's the guy they drafted? The Penn State guy, Pork Chop or whatever his name is, Chop.
Chop Robinson.
Chop Robinson, yeah. He turned out to be
a good player. Yeah,
okay. I mean, in the beginning, you can't rush to judgment on some of these guys. I mean, sometimes you can just see it right away that this was a bad mistake. I'm sure the Indianapolis Colts are feeling that way. With apologies to that argument that Bill Polian had there with Mel Kiper many years ago, where I thought they were going to come to blows. I don't know, Lubie. What did you think? Wouldn't that be great to see some general managers sit down with Mel Kiper, who's critical of his draft pick, and they just start throwing punches, start throwing bombs? Like that fight I witnessed between Bob Arum, like a 70-year-old Bob Arum at the time, and Mike Katz, who just checked out. He was the boxing writer, kind of a well-known boxing writer when there was such a thing, for the New York Times. Imagine this. The New York Times employed a boxing writer, Lubie. How far? I mean, maybe that's why, newspapers are out of business. But and these guys started duking it out right in front of me. And what was weird about it was, if you're not familiar with this guy, Mike Katz, which I'd imagine most people aren't, but he was sort of a heavy-set guy and one of those guys that always had like a little bit of dandruff on a black shirt, and he wore an ill-fitting suit jacket because there was not going to be any kind of sports jacket that was going to fit him well anyway. When you're sort of, I mean, he had to be in excess of 260, 275, and he wasn't a particularly tall guy. Mm-hmm. And he wrote very well, though. I mean, you could read his boxing stuff and say, wow, I mean, Ring Larder might have written this crap. But he had a neck brace on for like 30 years. I don't know who his attorney was. Do you find something suspect in that? When a guy's got like one of those soft neck braces on, but he has it on forever. I mean, do you think he goes to sleep with that? He wore it I don't know who he was suing. But what was great was, I don't think the neck brace came off in this fight. Here's Bob Arum. Bob Arum is literally like an old geezer. And they get so heated about some BS question that was being asked that Arum didn't feel like answering with any, even remote semblance of truth. And Katz gets all in his face, and now he's swinging his cane at the guy. People might think I'm making this up, and maybe I'm not describing it well enough to illustrate how hilarious this was, but we'll have to get this gentleman on. He's on Facebook. I see him. Ron Borges used to be a boxing writer out of the Boston Globe, a very distinguished guy, and he was witness to it. It was all I could do. I mean, we should have tried to break it up, but it was all we could do to suppress our laughter. It was so comical to see this guy who, I mean, if any insurance people were around following Mike Katz around, they won his case. As all of a sudden, he went from being some poor cripple who was trying to collect a check from some ambulance chaser to Zorro. I mean, he's just swinging this cane at Bob Arum. It was fantastic. But, I mean, you would like to see it. The argument escalate to the point where, will it happen where it comes to blows on a draft day? Or are people more civilized about it now, Louis? Does it seem like some of the passion is gone from this, or is it just that we're more removed from draft coverage than we used to be?
I mean, people are passionate, but I don't think people fight over picks or discussion of picks.
Discussion of picks. Think about that. And there really is. Look, it's a cop-out to say, well, there's no way you can really tell until you actually see him play. I mean, look, we've seen evidence of that right at the very top forever. Where, I mean, and even some of these debates, but you don't have a lot of that this year. I mean, what are the big narratives going into the draft? Shedeur Sanders, is he really going to be a good pro? And what kind of problems are going to be created by dealing with Dion, if any? Does Dion pull an Elway and say, hey, listen, I'm going to tell you, Mr. Irsay, I've got a contract with George Steinbrenner. I'm going to be playing baseball.
No, good luck. He doesn't have the power that Elway had. Sanders isn't sought after like that. It's will Ward go 1, which is pretty much presumed, and will Hunter go 2? I mean, and what do you do with Carter? Because Carter to me is right there in the mix in the top 3, but that injury is weird. Like, it's a weird injury for an defensive end to have, but they're not really talking about it. But I'm curious if NFL teams, like, if he drops it all. I mean, after that, I don't know. Like, does Sanders fall, and how far does he fall? Like, those are really the only questions. After that, there's not. I mean, I know
the follow-up would be wherever he's taken, will he make it as a pro quarterback? Does he have the goods?
No, I think it's a career backup. I mean,
Career backup, Shedeur Sanders. Wow.
he's not athletic and he doesn't have a strong arm. Like I get there have been guys that made an accuracy, but we actually underrate Brady's arm. And like Brady and Breeze didn't have average arms. They just didn't have amazing arms, but they had solid arms. And they also were ridiculous with accuracy. That's the thing with Tua. Like Tua, because he's had injuries and like the Dolphins have never been able to protect him. People forget what he was in college and what he was coming out of college. Like he was somewhat athletic and his accuracies and his timing. Like Shedeur Sanders is accurate. His timing is good. It's not what they make it out to be. And he's not athletic at all. And his arm is like average. Like it's not even like decent. Like his arm is not really good. So to me, and in this day and age in the NFL, when athleticism is such a big deal, and wherever he's going to go, it's not like their line's going to be good. Like I don't know. I find it hard to believe that he's going to be an NFL quarterback. Like I just really do. I think Cam Ward will make it, but he's very Anthony Richardson to me. Like where he grew up enough and had enough reps in college where he put up big numbers in college. He likes to hold onto the ball so long. Like in the NFL, you get so punished. The stuff he does that he gets away with in college, it's so hard to do that in the NFL. Like,
well, and he ran a lot in college, which was clearly. I mean, as a fan, it was great to watch. But you guys were all over it, Lubie. I have to give you and the professor credit in doing draft assessment. Anthony Richardson, the inaccuracy of his passing. Had to be prohibitive. And as you correctly pointed out, especially with the way the game is being played today on the offensive side, those quick dart passes are good. Tua is good at it, but he's not nearly as good at it as Brady and Drew Brees were.
No. But Sanders is accurate. And if he went to a team with a really good line, then Sanders could be a quarterback. The problem is, like, what teams have good lines? There's like 3 good lines in the entire league. And as a rookie, you're definitely not going to go to a team with a good line. So it's like, I don't know if he'll get the opportunity to become the guy. It's not like he sucks. He's just what he's good at and what he struggles at. It's hard to really excel early in a career. Like those guys find their way to a good team. And I don't know. I don't know with him. Ward is interesting. Ward has a lot of upside. He's not Richardson. Like he's more accurate than Richardson. Richardson was horrendous. Like if you watch Richardson in college, it made no sense. Like he was a guy that was going to need like 3 years behind someone and hopefully he can figure it out. Like Ward's ready. Ward's a good quarterback. He just, the stuff, look, it's very Jameis-like. Like the stuff he likes to do is the stuff that gets you in trouble in the NFL and makes it hard for you to be an uber success. Like he'll start. He holds onto the ball. He loves to make the big play. And it's like, okay, like you get hammered, you get punished. Like it just doesn't work in the NFL when you do that.
It's hard to reel in wildness. I mean, having followed Nolan Ryan when he was with the Mets, saying a guy couldn't find a plate with a search warrant. And that was one of the reasons that he became expendable, even for a guy who was at the tail end of his career and was just what the Mets at the time thought was a piece of the puzzle. But they get Jim Fregosi, and I believe they moved him from shortstop to third base, which was also another complication. Meanwhile, Ryan goes on for a Hall of Fame career, but he did reel in. He still walked people. I would imagine if you check as many people as he struck out, he walked an excessive number of people compared to most pitchers of his caliber. But he did reel in his wildness. A very difficult thing to do. In football, I mean, we see a similar pattern there. If a guy is an inaccurate passer in college, there's a pretty good chance he's never going to be an accurate passer in the pros. Now, how is that basic lost on these scouts? Who's scouting for these teams, Libby? They have all these sabermetrics. They have all these analytics, all of the systems of measurement. They got Bill James on steroids, but with the abstract. And all you have to do is look at a guy, don't you? I mean, what happened to that old-fashioned eyeball? Here's what I see type of evaluation, and that's what always amazes me when you see guys make serious blunders in the draft. But that'll be the curiosity point for me. What gets the first? Isn't that the greatest point of any draft coverage, where everybody is aghast? They can't believe what kind of a dumb, irrelevant, insipid, franchise-crushing pick that some team has made. Now, where does that happen? Does it happen in the top 10? Because I don't know. As you look at this field that's available for who's going to get drafted, that's just going to shock people unless they did take Shedeur Sanders at number 2.
Maybe 2. Yes, the Browns. Look, the Browns are Dolphins adjacent, where they do really dumb things, and they can't get out of their own way. And you have two dudes. Look, the injury bothered me with Carter, but as long as he's healthy, that guy's special. And you saw it, and he did it in big moments. He did it on a regular game versus Toledo on a Saturday afternoon. Like, he did it regularly. He did it all over the field, and he's a modern day dude where you can move him around. Hunter is, as much as it still annoys me that he screwed FSU, like, the dude is special. He's generational on both sides of the field. I would play him as a corner because a shutdown corner is something that is rare to find. A shutdown corner just won Defensive Player of the Year. Like, and as good as Jordan Jr. is, he's not Hunter. Like, Hunter, if he just focused on corner, like, the dude's athleticism, his ball hawking skills, he's actually willing to be physical for as thin as he is. He can play the run. He can play every down. And he loves football. Like, he loves football. And he works hard. As much as he talks crap, he works really hard, Hunter. So, like, that dude is, if automatic exists in the draft, like, Hunter's automatic. Like, Hunter's going to play this year. He's going to play at a high level, and he should be, like, not a Pro Bowler, an all-pro. Like, yeah. He's
that
sitting.
Kind of fans will take to this when they wheel him out there for a couple of pass plays, too.
Exactly, and you can put him on offense, and like, the Browns need something. Like, they had Garrett, the best defensive player in football, for a couple years, and you didn't even know it because the Browns are just so blah. Like, Hunter's the kind of dude that could bring pizzazz to the Browns, and they'd go and get Shador. Like, that's just so Browns. Like, the Browns are. It may fall off the rails with the Browns. Like, if they go and get Shador,
right there at number 2. I love that.
Because they need a quarterback. The whole Watson thing's a disaster. They're trying to overcome it. Shador has national prominence and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. To me, that would be a horrendous pick. Like, that would be such a reach and so stupid, but it feels so Browns.
This is the way the draft should be covered, no? I mean, who's going to make the biggest freaking blunder that you've ever seen in draft history? And you've already got it happening at number 2. I don't know. I mean, how much deeper in the draft you could go to be the biggest blunder in draft history, because most people would immediately, I mean, Jamarcus Russell's name comes to mind right away. Ryan Leaf at number 2, but that's number 2. And when you're making a colossal mistake at number 1.
They've existed.
Because, people just, they don't want to believe what they see, right? Mm-hmm. Although most of these guys that were drafted first overall coming out of college, you saw them. I mean, you would have thought Jamarcus Russell would be great. We didn't know he was a flake.
Yeah. He just didn't give a crap. Like, it wasn't a talent thing with him. It was a laziness / I don't give a crap.
Yeah.
Like, it just didn't work like that. And they've gotten better at, like, trying to figure that out with these interviews. I mean, some of the questions are stupid, as we know, but, like, trying to figure out how much because that's really what it is. Do they love football or not? Like, football's really hard. Like, you need to really love it. Like, that you need the money, obviously, and you need to love the thing, because, especially a quarterback, because it's really difficult.
All right. There you go. All right, we'll get more in depth on some of this stuff. I don't know that we explored anything below the surface there, but nonetheless, it was fun being with you guys today. Scoop Skolnick tomorrow. Tony Segreto goes old school with us tomorrow as well. I believe we will return with the Trivia Challenge portion of the program on Thursday, and then Friday, the Professor and the Big Board. So a lot to look forward to this week, and great stuff happening all over the world of sports. 10 o'clock today. Going to go live with a little Derby preview with our friend Pete Aiello in our conversation show. And then, pop a cold one. I don't know. I don't do a good Farrell on the bench, but it's been a long time since I've seen or talked to Scott Farrell. But I was trying to figure out somebody who could give us some insight into the hockey postseason. And Farrell is a giant. I mean, he's been an advocate for hockey. He actually was the original play-by-play voice, I believe, on the radio for the Atlanta Thrashers.
Really?
They became, because he had this whole thing going with hockey. He was one of the few guys that would talk about it and make a big thing on his national show, and they hired him to be their play-by-play guy.
Oh, wow.
I don't think they were in town long enough for him to have actually benefited from that. But now, we'll talk to him about that and get a little perspective, which we can't provide for you just off the top of our head. Hockey playoffs. I mean, holy Gump Worsley. What am I talking about? I was enjoying it, though. I mean, the action is already incredible. The last couple of minutes of a one-goal hockey playoff game, amazing. Anytime, even during the regular season, but especially so in the postseason when the crowd is amped up, and everything is so important. And one goal differentials are quite frequent. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks so much for being with us, and join us at 10 o'clock. Derby preview, a little NHL, and we reunite with the great Scott Farrell. Farrell on the bench now has Farrell Coast to Coast on Sports Grid Network. So
Nice.
looking forward to that. All right, so see you later on this morning right here on Bleacher Brothers. For Mike Lubie Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. As we leave you know that.
The time.
It's 9:05.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.